Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be putting together a short guide on how to fight Absorbing Man. You've probably seen similar screenshots to the one in the thumbnail of this video where this dude is just racking up the kills on Alliance War defense, or maybe he's a problem for you in Battlegrounds. But either way, we're going to talk a little bit about his kit and sort of demystify how to fight him, because while he does have some pretty outrageous defender threats, there are definitely champions that counter him very well, and even if you don't have the best counter in the world, there are ways to get around it. So the structure of this video, I'm going to kind of go through his kit and talk about his main defensive threats, tell you a little bit about the champions and the styles of play that can counter it, and then we're going to take a look at a boss fight using Silk. And, it is a stun immune boss, of course, because it's Alliance War, and Silk doesn't love it when they are stun immune, but she still has some ways to counter him. And you'll see that even though it was a 4-minute fight, by staying on top of all the things I'm going to talk about in this video, I was able to get him down pretty smoothly. So anyway, let's get into it. First thing is, of course, the awakened ability, which involves the regeneration. By now, most people placing him on Alliance War defense have the SIG 200 one. As you can see, it means whenever he consumes morph charges, or more specifically as a defender, this effect triggering whenever he enters or refreshes any form, which is going to basically happen when he throws special attacks for the most part. You are essentially going to be getting this 30% regen of missing health, and of course, since it's missing health, the lower the amount of health he has, the more this is going to be triggering, which is pretty rough, right? So now the first thing to talk about is heal control, because even if you're playing perfectly, there are going to be times where this healing is ticking for a little bit. And, if he's on a node like Ebb and Flow Intercept or something like that, where you have some kind of protection and you're not doing that much damage, the regen is going to be a little bit difficult to get through if you don't have some kind of regen control. So my first tip for you is to use a science champion that has some kind of debuffs. Obviously, if they have some kind of inherent healing control, like, Void or Mr. Fantastic or Sandman, or even Silk, if she's at a high enough SIG, then you're going to be in even better shape. But this is a moment where running the Despair Mastery at 3 out of 3 is really important. So that's kind of my first tip, is like dealing with the regen, even if you play perfectly, is going to be a little bit of a factor. So starting off by using a champion with some kind of despair or healing control is going to definitely help you. But now let's get into a little bit more of his defensive threats. We're going to talk about his forms and his refined forms. So looking at here in the Black Uru form, when he refines it, which means if he throws the same special 2 times in a row, then that means when he hits your block, he can get the critical hits, and he can do the bursts of damage through the block, which is a little bit dangerous. And, also his specials become unblockable. And, the last thing to note here is that and aside from being immune to bleed and shock, he gets this massive physical resistance. And so many champions have physical hits, or, even if they're a science champion, they have physical burst. So keeping him in Uru form is going to be a bad time, because you won't be doing that much damage. It means the regen will be all that more potent because you're not taking off that much health. And then, of course, the effects in block are pretty terrible. Now, the special 2 is even worse when he refines it, which means if he throws it back to back, because any contact is going to be putting these incinerate passives on you, which means you're just going to die. So what does this mean, right? And then he's got energy resistance, of course. So like if you happen to be using an energy champ, that's going to hurt as well. So in order to avoid these 2 defensive threats, what you really need to be working on is getting him out of his forms. And let me see, where does it say how to do that here? Being struck by a heavy attack while recovering from a special attack deactivates the form, which cannot be deactivated again this way for 20 seconds. So that bullet point that begins with being struck, that right there, my friends, is the key to fighting this guy. What you need to do is practice baiting his specials and then countering it with a heavy attack. Now, the special 1 is pretty easy for anybody to do. The special 2 requires a little bit of spacing, and we're going to see in the Silk fight that I'm about to post that this becomes a little bit of a problem at least once for me. But once you get the practice down of how to punish the special 2, it's actually not that bad. So the only other thing you need to worry about when it comes to punishing with this heavy is that you do need to notice there's a 20-second cooldown, which means if you just keep baiting the special one, you're going to bait it during the 20-second cooldown, which means if he throws them back to back to back, you may end up having the form refined anyway, which is not that good. So the other tip, besides getting these heavy counters together, is also to try your best to alternate the specials, or at least slow play enough so that he cannot refine any of the forms. So the way this is going to look is essentially you're going to want to bait a special one pretty early and punish it with a heavy. That's going to deactivate him and just turn him into a regular man. And then if you can, while using blocked hits or just, slow playing, manipulating the AI, you want to push him to a special two and then bait that out, attempt the heavy punish on that, deactivate the magma form, and then sort of rinse and repeat. In an ideal world, you're alternating bait the special one, bait the special two, rinse, repeat, and you're always heavy countering. Now, the one thing you need to watch out for is if it is on cooldown, then doing a heavy counter is going to basically do nothing. So you might as well not worry about the heavy counter and try to get him to the next special so you can deactivate that one as well. So one more time, having debuffs, having a science champion, having some kind of healing control and the despair mastery at a bare minimum is highly recommended, especially on some of the more dangerous placements. This is going to make a huge difference for you. But even if you don't have all of that, if you get these heavy counters together, which we're about to see in the video, then you're pretty much going to be shutting him down. And when he doesn't have his forms, he is actually a pretty weak defender in terms of his stats. Like, he doesn't have any advanced resistances or that high of armor. Now, my last tip is that if you have some kind of damage source, such as poison or power sting, that is just direct damage and not something that is related to physical vulnerability like ruptures or energy vulnerability like, incinerate, cold snap, and shock. So this is talking about things like poison, like other kind of degen or direct damage. Or power stings, things like that are going to cut through him even if he is in his forms. So that's why somebody like Immortal Abomination, for example, or Spider-Ham or Cassie, they're going to be able to get through him with that direct damage. And so even if you're not completely on top of like all the things that I was just talking about, if you have some kind of direct damage source like that, it is going to be able to get through him as well, even if he's in his forms. So with that, let's take a look at the video. I hope that this was helpful. I'll be narrating it so you can see this stuff in action, and we'll take it from there. All right, so here we go. This is tier 3. It is a rank 4 boss, rank 4 Silk versus the boss, and I did speed up the clip a little bit. So here we go. He starts in Uru form. We're going to bait a special 1 to deactivate it. Here we go. We get the heavy counter. He's deactivated. Now he's very rude and throws another one. So now we're a little bit in the danger zone because we have that 20-second cooldown. We cannot have him throw another special 1. The regen is just taking away. We are despair stopping it a little bit. Now he's ready for a special 2. We mess up the punish here, unfortunately. So that's on me. I didn't practice the spacing enough. So he's just going to have to be in this form for a little bit. But if you notice, the little anvil is done, so we can deactivate the special 1 form at this point. And yeah, so at this point it's going pretty well. We do need to watch out for the fact that we do not have stuns. So what I'm doing is throwing a relic followed by the special attacks to do the most damage possible for a little bit of physical burst. Here we go. This time I do get the spacing right. It's a little bit like if you've ever fought Thing with the special 2, you have to be very close to him so you can dash out at the very end. So Black Uru is deactivated, so that means we can do another special 1 punish there. Now I think I'm just going to throw the special 2 just kind of for rhythm, and it does a little bit of damage. He's about halfway done now. We can safely bait a special 2 next. Simply because you can see the magma form is not on cooldown. So, every time he throws a special, he is going to regen just a little bit, but we are able to deactivate it, so it only goes like 5 ticks maybe. Right there, we deactivate that one. So now they are both on cooldown. We have to be a little bit careful. Now here, input issue. I don't know what happened. I think I tried to charge heavy out of like habit or something, and we got punished there. So that would have actually been a ton of damage that we just missed out on. So here we go again. We're baiting special 2. Next up, we're going to bait a special 1. You can see like all of our hits are kind of going through like they normally would. We bait with a heavy. Now he's deactivated again. You know, like I was saying, when he's just a regular man, he doesn't have that many defenses. So we just throw this. Now we cannot deactivate that because it was on cooldown. So again, we need to be careful. We don't want to see the back-to-back special 1s. But here we go. We get the special 2. We get the punish correctly. Next up, I think I'm gonna go for the relic here, and then we do a heavy into. So there we go. There's the big damage that we wanted to see. Big burst. We love to see that. That's what I was trying to do earlier. Now here he did get into his form, so he is regenning a little bit. We are able to deactivate there, so he's basically down now. We just need to do a couple more combos to get him down. There he plays right into a little bit of an intercept. A special 2. Is it enough? It certainly is, and he goes down. So hopefully that was a good enough showcase for you. You can see a little bit what I mean about alternating the specials. Silk, even on stun immune, was able to take him down. You know, bottom line, bring in your science champions. If you have direct damage, even better. If you have debuffs and healing control, even better. If not, just stay on top of those punishes and alternating specials and you should be good to go. Anyway, hope this was helpful. Let me know if you want more videos like this. I try to keep them under 15 minutes so that you can watch them all at once with a little bit of gameplay, and that's the goal. So thanks for checking it out, and I'll catch you in the next one.